In the previous class, we discussed what is business, what is goods, what is service, what is consideration, what is in the course and furtherance of business, who is a taxable person. I hope you have watched all these classes so that discussion of today's class, okay, the discussion in today's class, the certain questions and answers will be very easy for you. So if you have not watched it, so I strongly suggest you to go back and watch those videos and come back to this class again. In this class, we will be discussing one of the basic questions, one of the most important question in GST, that is when GST is payable. That is when GST is payable. So if you understand this one thing, you can understand rest of the syllabus without much difficulties. So you can understand very easily. So one fundamental, one basic question is when GST is payable will be answered in this particular class. Now we need to take certain examples first. So we will be taking one by one scenarios and we will be discussing whether GST is payable or not. So we will be taking around 5 to 6 scenarios and we will be discussing whether GST should be payable or not. So let us start with the first scenario, that is the first example. For this example, I have my own CA coaching institute and I teach several subjects. Say I taught accounts. I taught accounts for 50 students for free. So I am teaching accounts for free. Now let us decide whether I should pay GST or not. Now, whether there is goods or service, teaching is a service. So there is service. Whether there is consideration, there is no consideration in return. That is, I am teaching for free. So there is no consideration, there is no fees. There is service, but there is no consideration. Whether it is my business, yes, it is my business. Whether I am a taxable person, I am a taxable person and have registered under GST, and whether this entire thing, whether it is a taxable supply, yes, it is taxable supply. Though all the other criterias are fulfilled, though all the other parameters are fulfilled, here one parameter is not fulfilled, which is that is there is no consideration. That if any one of the parameter is also missing, I need not pay GST. So in this example, what was missing? The consideration factor was missing. So there was service, but there was no consideration. There was business, there was taxable person, and it was a taxable supply, but there was no consideration, hence no GST. So I hope you understood the first example. Let us understand the second example, that is a second scenario. I am running my coaching institute. So what is my business? That is, coaching is my business. Now say I have my old mobile phone. I have my old mobile phone and I want to sell it in OLX. So I sold my old mobile phone in OLX for 20,000 rupees. Now let us decide whether there should be GST on this or not. First thing, whether there is any goods or service. Yes, there is goods. What is goods? Mobile phone is goods. So one is satisfied. Now whether there is consideration. Yes, I sold it for 20,000 rupees. So 20,000 is my consideration. Whether it is my business, whether it is in the course or furtherance of my business. No, selling mobile phone is nowhere related to my business. So I sold it for my personal purpose, not in the course of business. So there is no business criteria which is getting satisfied. Whether I am a taxable person, I already told you I am a registered person under GST. So I am a taxable person. Whether it is a taxable supply, yes, it is a taxable supply. But is there a GST? Though all the other parameters are satisfied, one parameter is missing, which is that it is not in the course or furtherance of my business. So even if one criteria is not satisfied, should I pay GST? I need not pay GST. So when I am selling my phone in OLX, that is a second-hand phone, the business parameter is missing, and when it is not my business, there is no GST. I hope these two examples are clear to you. In the first example, there was no consideration. In the second example, there is no business. Let us go to the third example. I am running my CA coaching institute and I am a registered person. Along with this, I also deal in stock market. So I buy and sell shares. Okay, so I have a share of Infosys. I am selling these shares. Okay, I am selling these shares for 3000 rupees. I have a one share from Infosys and I am selling it for say 3000 rupees. Should I pay GST? First thing, whether I am selling goods or service. If you remember the definition of goods or service, it was particularly mentioned that securities are not goods nor services. So there is no goods or service. But whether there is consideration, yes, I am selling it for 3000 rupees. So there is consideration. Whether it is my business or furtherance of business, yes, because the definition of business is very vast and it also includes the trading in shares. So it is a part of my business. Whether am I a taxable person? We already discussed that I am a taxable person registered under GST. Whether it is a taxable supply? Yes, it is a taxable supply. But what is that one criteria missing here? What is that one criteria missing here? It is nor goods nor service. So once something is not goods nor service, the question of GST does not arise and hence there is no GST when I am selling my share. So in the first example there was no consideration, in the second example there was no business, and in the third example there is no goods or services. So in all the three scenarios there is no GST. I hope you are clear till now. Let us come to the fourth scenario, that is example number 4. And for this particular example, you need to imagine that I am a wine shop vendor. So I am the owner of wine shop and I sell alcoholic liquor. Okay. Now I sold this alcohol to my customer for rupees 1000. So I sold alcohol for rupees 1000. Now the question comes, should I pay GST or not? So whether alcohol is a goods? Yes, it is a goods. Whether there was consideration? Yes, there was consideration of 1000 rupees. Whether it is my business? Yes, it is my business. Fine. So three conditions are satisfied. Let us see the fourth one. Whether I am a taxable person. I am a taxable person. I am registered under GST. The last criteria, whether selling of alcohol is a taxable supply. In the previous class we did discuss that alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the definition of GST. So it is not a taxable supply. So alcoholic liquor for human consumption is not a taxable supply. So what is that one criteria missing here? It is not a taxable supply. So all the other conditions are satisfied. Which are the other conditions? There is goods, there is consideration, it is the business by a taxable person, but it is not a taxable supply. Even one condition not satisfied, there is no GST. I hope you are clear with the first 4 example. Let us go to the fifth example. Now let us talk about scenario number 5, that is example number 5. One day I went to eat Pani Puri near roadside. The Pani Puri vendor asked me, everyone are talking about GST, should he also pay GST? Now let us see whether that Pani Puri vendor, should he pay GST or not. Let me begin with the first question. Is he supplying goods or service? Yes, he is supplying goods or service. I asked him the second question, is there a consideration? He said yes, he is taking 20 rupees per plate. That is 20 rupees per plate is the consideration. I asked him the third question, is it your business? He said yes, it is his main business. So I asked him the fourth question, are you a taxable person? And I explained him, if his turnover is less than 20 lakh rupees, he is not a taxable person at all. And he said his turnover is only 2 lakh rupees in a year, right? His turnover, that is his total sale in a year, is less than 20 lakh. That is his turnover is only 2 lakh rupees. So he is not a taxable person. Though he is making a taxable supply, as he is not a taxable person, he need not pay GST. To sum up, there is supply, there is consideration, there is business, there is taxable supply, but he is not a taxable person. As a result, he need not pay GST on that. I want to give a small clarification about fourth scenario. In a fourth scenario, we said alcoholic liquor is not a taxable supply. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is not a taxable supply, but the seller may be a taxable person. The seller may be a taxable person. Now a question may come in your mind saying that when he is selling something on which there is no GST at all, Why will he register? Say I am selling only alcoholic liquor. Should I get registered? Answer is no. I am not a taxable person. But say along with alcohol, also I am selling soda. Along with liquor, in a wine shop I am also selling soda. Whether soda is leviable under the act? Yes, soda is leviable under the act. That is why even if a wine shop is selling alcoholic liquor, also it is selling soda. On this soda portion, he has to register himself. So he becomes a taxable person. That is to say, if he is only selling liquor and no other product, then he is not a taxable person. But if he is also selling some other items which is taxable under GST, he becomes a taxable person.